Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In the interest of time, I'll not cover all aspects, but I'll just focus on a few things. One is in terms of governance. Like Asim was saying, we also have structured the finance department in such a way that there's a core finance team which looks at accounting, taxation, treasury, etc. And there are finance managers who get attached to all the business functions, whether it's the projects team, the marketing team, the material procurement team, and all these people are given roles to work as partners of each of these functions. And the role is clearly defined as value strategists, risk and opportunity managers, service and solution providers. And all these three are basically attached and intertwined to that particular function. I'll give you an example of our raw material procurement function. So we actually have a huge procurement of wood in our paper business. Nearly 4,000 tons of wood is procured on a daily basis, and about 240 to 260 trucks and trailers come to our factory. So the person who is attached to the team is typically looking at how do we actually manage costs in that, because it's the cost of wood is about 60% of the total cost of the final product. So every year he starts looking at how do I negotiate better, how do I get better margins, and how do I save costs. He tries to attack the farmers, but in the strategic interest we say we can't go below a level as far as compensation to farmer is concerned. Then he looks at freight, because that's another component of wood being felled at various places and getting transported to the factory. So he negotiates very hard and comes up with saying, I've got the best price in terms of a transport cost. And then the next year he comes up and says, yes, we have even now delinked the price and said certain part is fixed, certain part would be linked to the price of diesel. So that whenever the diesel volatility is there, whenever diesel comes down, I get the benefit. So that's another level when he gets into. But we tell him, as part of the same TCM model, as we say, we look at cost drivers. What are the things which we are actually driving the cost of transportation? And there we realize, when we're trying to dig deeper and deeper, that all these trucks which they come and wait for nearly 24 hours at our factory. Because if the operators want fresh wood, there's a limitation on the chipping facilities. And so what happens? The farmers are not able to manage because they have labor problems, felling, harvesting problems. And in all this, what happens? As and when the farmer is able to fell, he sends the truck, and the truck waits for nearly 24 hours. And there's a cost involved in the waiting. So how do we structure in such a way that we can make sure that the turnaround time can be reduced? And there's a benefit to the transporter because his truck would be available for a longer period and he can pass on some benefits. So that's how they have actually structured something. They have started scheduling nowadays. They have looked at how farmers can be given times when they can schedule. Then they hit upon this problem of labor availability, and then they looked at, okay, can we buy a harvester and see how we can give it to the farmers so that they can harvest as and when they need. So this is what actually TCM model is all about, that go deeper, look at cost drivers. We have, as I said, reduced from 24 hours to less than 15 hours, but now the target is to reduce it below 10 hours. So when you're actually able to reduce from, say, 24-hour waiting time to a less than 10-hour waiting time, there's a benefit in that. And that benefit is what the transporter can easily and willingly share with you. So that's one of the examples of how a TCM model is actually helping you to reduce costs, manage costs, and improve your margins. Similarly, when you want to develop new products, we obviously, typically, it will always start with saying, okay, what is the customer need which we are wanting to satisfy? What is their unmet demand? So you'll start with that. Okay, I want a product which is a barrier-coated paper. So that's what you would like. You don't want something to leak out of it, so you want something which has a barrier coating on a paper board. Now, when you're trying to develop that, you start with the customer and say, okay, this is the value of that product to the customer. And if that's the value to the customer, what is the maximum that he is willing to pay? and use that to do your target costing. And target costing is another inherent tool which is a part of the TCM model. So this is how I'm giving you examples of how an organization can adopt these models in all your strategic decision making. I'll give you one last example of an area which is aspirational. So just as there are various levels for a TCM model at a company level, even within our organization, we have various functions, various businesses at various levels. All have not achieved the best. So we keep aspiring to grow. And one of this is the aspiration of sustainability. We have taken up sustainability as a very key thing for us at an organizational level, and it makes business sense. We have seen that because we are the only business which we are carbon positive for so many years as an organization. So what we have seen is that instead of getting wood which is imported, and so we have financial people coming and saying, yes, you don't have to get exposed to the volatility of foreign exchange management, external prices. Let's start having homegrown wood. So then we adopted a strategy of growing plantations within the country. And that has made us a huge carbon positive. But now our aspiration is, yes, it does make business sense, but can we put cost numbers to this? How much are we actually saving by doing a homegrown plantation model vis-a-vis an imported wood model? But that, as I said, is an aspiration. We are working on it, and over the years, we hope to get a far accurate and a better model so that whenever we take a decision, whether we are able to control or not, we must be conscious of the cost. And that's how all this is going to help us. Thank you.